The kinetic round punched through Captain Marcus Chen's shoulder plate, and he hit the deck hard, blood already pooling beneath him. The alien fortress walls groaned above, buckling under sustained plasma fire. His squad was gone, vapor trails and carbon scoring marked where they'd stood 3 minutes ago. He was alone now, wounded, surrounded, and the enemy was closing from 3 corridors. Through his cracked visor display, thermal signatures multiplied like cancer cells. 200 hostiles. Maybe more. His rifle clicked empty and he let it clatter away, drawing his sidearm with his left hand since his right arm hung useless. The pain was white-hot clarity. He'd seen the fortress schematics before insertion. Behind him lay the civilian holding cells. 300 human prisoners, mostly colonists, some children. The Zathayar wouldn't take them alive if they breached this corridor. They demonstrated that preference at New Gaia. At Proxima Station. At Kepler 22. Marcus dragged himself upright against the bulkhead, legs shaking. His tactical computer was dead. So was Command Net. The fleet had pulled back or been destroyed. He'd lost contact during the assault. It didn't matter. This junction was all that separated the enemy from those cells. 20 meters of corridor. That's what he had to hold. Come on then, he whispered, tasting copper. The first Zathayar appeared at the corridor's far end, 8-limbed, chitinous, its compound eyes reflecting emergency lighting like dark mirrors. It chittered and 2 more emerged beside it. Marcus fired. The first shot went wide. The second caught the center alien in its thorax and it folded, legs spasming. The others scattered into cover. He had 11 rounds left. They'd tried to flank him. Standard tactics. He shuffled sideways to narrow his angles, breathing through gritted teeth. Blood loss was making his vision swim, but adrenaline kept him sharp enough. The corridor's ceiling had structural weaknesses. He noted them during approach. If he could, plasma bolts erupted from both sides simultaneously. Marcus ducked and returned fire, dropping one attacker but taking a glancing hit across his leg. The armor held, but the impact knocked him down. He fired from his back 2 shots, forcing them into cover. 9 rounds. Status report, Captain Shin. The voice crashed through his broken comms like a ghost. Female. Alien. The translation protocol warbled but held. Marcus didn't waste breath responding. More Zathayar poured into the corridor. He fired methodically, each shot counting because it had to. 6 rounds. 5. The enemy commander was probing, testing his ammunition. Smart. Your fleet has withdrawn. The voice continued, aristocratic and cold. Your backup is not coming. You are bleeding out. Surrender the corridor. 4 rounds. 3. Marcus wedged himself more firmly against the bulkhead, trying to slow the bleeding with pressure from his dead arm. His vision narrowed to the corridor, the targets, the shots. A Zathayar rushed from the right, and he dropped it mid-charge. 2 rounds. I am Matriarch Velshera. I command this world. What is your designation? 1 round left. He could see them massing now, abandoning caution. They knew. His hand trembled. Not fear. Just the body failing. He ejected the magazine, checked it redundantly. 1 round. He looked at the corridor behind him. Somewhere past that door were people who'd spent months in darkness, waiting to die. Colonists who'd come out here believing in something better. Marcus Chin, he said finally, his voice barely functional. Captain? UNSC Marines. Serial number. He coughed. Doesn't matter. You're not getting past me. Silence stretched. Then, you cannot hold that position. Accept logic, human. Watch me. They came in a wave. Marcus fired his last shot, dropped the pistol, and pulled his combat knife. The blade was 8 inches of monomolecular carbon. They'd have to cross 20 meters. He'd make every meter cost. The first Zathayar reached him in seconds. He sidestepped, drove the knife into the joint between head and thorax, twisted, pulled free. Green ichor sprayed. The second alien's claws raked across his chest plate, and he stabbed upward, found something vital. It collapsed. Pain erupted everywhere now, becoming abstract, distant. 2 more. 3. He moved on instinct, training, spite. The knife found throats, eye clusters, the soft gaps in their exoskeletons. They tore at him with barbed limbs. His armor cracked. His ribs cracked. He kept moving because stopping meant dying, and dying meant failing, and failure meant a claw pierced his abdomen. Marcus looked down, almost curious, then drove his knife through his attacker's skull with his left hand, his right still dangling useless. He staggered back against the wall, breathing in wet gasps. The corridor had gone quiet. 6 Zathar corpses lay scattered. More hesitated at the junction, chittering uncertainly. Marcus couldn't hold the knife anymore. His fingers wouldn't close. It clattered to the deck. He slid down the wall until he was sitting, leaving a red smear. Interesting, Matriarch Velshera said through the comms. You continue. Marcus tried to respond but only managed a liquid cough. His vision was fading at the edges, the world becoming watercolor. He pressed his hand against the abdominal wound, knowing it was futile but unable to stop the reflex. The Zathar at the junction hadn't advanced. They watched him with alien incomprehension, their chittering taking on questioning tones. He'd killed 6 of them hand to hand, wounded and dying. It didn't fit their understanding of human capabilities. Good. Let them hesitate. Every second was a gift to whoever might reach those cells before. Movement. Different. Larger. The soldiers parted as something massive entered the corridor. It stood twice their height, its carapace gleaming black and gold, mandibles like sabers. Crown-like protrusions marked its head. Queen cast. Marcus had only seen images. Intel said they never left their hideships. Velshera's voice came again, but now Marcus could see her, a smaller alien in ornate armor flanking the massive queen, watching him with multifaceted eyes that somehow conveyed intensity. Queen Shaktara has come, Velshera said quietly. She wishes to see the human who will not break. Marcus met those alien eyes, his vision failing, his body a symphony of agony. He couldn't stand. Couldn't fight. Could barely breathe. But he could hold this position. Could die right here in this doorway. Could make them step over his corpse to reach those cells. The queen approached slowly, each step deliberate. She stopped 3 meters away, regarding him with head tilted. When she spoke, the translation came through clear and resonant. Why? The question hung in the blood-soaked corridor. Marcus felt consciousness slipping away like water through fingers. He forced words through ruined lungs. Because they're behind me. The queen's mandibles moved in what might have been surprise or contemplation. She looked past him, toward the cell-block door, then back. Velshera stepped forward, speaking rapidly in their chittering language, but the queen silenced her with a gesture. You defend those who cannot defend themselves, the queen said. Knowing you cannot win. Doesn't matter, Marcus breathed. Just matters that I do. His vision went dark around the edges. He could feel his heart stuttering, struggling. Soon. Very soon. But not yet. Not while he still drew breath. His hand found his last grenade, the one he'd kept for this exact moment. Dead man's switch. If they crossed him to reach that door. Stand down, the queen said, and, at first Marcus thought she meant him, but she was addressing her soldiers. They chittered in confusion. She repeated the command, and they retreated to the corridor junction. Marcus didn't understand. Couldn't process. The queen crouched before him, her massive form filling his fading vision. We came to your colony seeking resources, seeing only prey. We did not know humans possessed this. She gestured at him, at the carnage, at his impossible stand. This makes war complicated. Velshera spoke urgently. The queen silenced her again. When she looked back at Marcus, something had changed in those compound eyes. The cells will not be breached, Captain Marcus Chin. You have my word. She rose, towering. Matriarch Velshera will see your wounds treated. You will survive to witness what follows. Don't want mercy. Marcus managed. Not mercy. Respect. The Queen's mandibles spread. Your species has earned consideration. One soldier should not need to stand alone against an army. This suggests failure not in you, but in how we understand war itself. Velshera approached, medical drones suddenly, swarming from the corridor. Marcus tried to refuse, tried to maintain his grip on the grenade, but his fingers wouldn't obey anymore. The darkness was coming, inevitable as gravity. The last thing he heard before unconsciousness took him was Velshera's voice, now carrying something that might have been respect. You stood when you could not stand. You fought when you could not fight. You held when holding was impossible. The Queen sees clearly now. Perhaps we all do. Marcus woke to white light and the steady beep of monitors. His body felt distant, wrapped in medical nanomesh and pain suppressors. The room was human standard, but the equipment was alien. He tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Easy, Captain? A human voice. Female. Familiar? He turned his head and saw Commander Sarah Reeves, his battalion's CO, seated beside the medical pod. Her expression was carefully neutral. Commander. How? The Zathayar opened communications 3 days after your stand. Proposed ceasefire terms. Returned our prisoners. Reeves leaned forward. All 300 from that facility. Plus prisoners from 4 other sites. Plus our wounded from the fleet engagement. They initiated Marcus. They reached out to us. Marcus processed this slowly through the fog of medication. I don't understand. Neither did we. The Queen, Shaktara, transmitted a message to Fleet Command. She said humanity fights with honor. That we protect our weak at cost to our strong. That this demonstrates cultural sophistication they hadn't recognized. She requested formal talks. It was just. Marcus struggled for words. Those people needed someone. I know. Reeves' expression softened. I read the combat logs. What you did in that corridor should have been impossible. You held a choke point against 200 hostiles for 17 minutes. Killed 18 in close combat while dying from multiple wounds. The Zathayar soldiers call it the stand of the broken warrior. It's become this thing in their culture. A story they tell. Marcus closed his eyes. How many did we lose overall? 42% casualties in your battalion. 16% fleet-wide. But Marcus, listen, if the war had continued, projections showed extinction-level losses within a year. We were losing. Badly. And then you made them stop and think. One soldier doesn't change wars, Commander. Maybe not. But one soldier changed how they see us. The Queen's position carries enormous weight in their society. She's arguing for what they call recognition of parallel honor. It's like they operate on strict hierarchy. Strength determines status. But what you did confused their entire framework because you demonstrated strength through sacrifice, not dominance. Their philosophers are apparently having a field day. A Zathayar in ornate armor entered the room. Velshera. Marcus recognized the markings. She clicked her mandibles in what the translation protocol identified as respectful greeting. Captain Chin. You recover adequately? Matriarch. Marcus acknowledged. His hand moved unconsciously toward where his sidearm would be, but found only medical gown. I wish to speak before your evacuation to human medical facilities. The Queen has assigned me as diplomatic liaison to your species. I am to learn your ways, understand your peculiar honor structures. She tilted her head. You interest me greatly, Captain. In my position, I have commanded thousands. Sent many to death for tactical advantage. It is expected. Necessary. But I have never witnessed a commander so junior hold position alone to protect those who could offer no tactical value. It defies logic. They're not tactical resources, Marcus said. They're people. Yes. This concept is challenging for us. We value the hive, the collective. Individuals are expendable in service to the whole. But humans seem to consider each individual as inherently valuable. The Queen believes this explains your tenacity in combat. You fight not just for victory, but for each other. Reeves interjected. The Matriarch has been reviewing our military history. She's particularly interested in last stands. Thermopylae. The Alamo. Rorke's Drift. Humans throughout your history have chosen impossible defense over retreat, Velshera said. Time and again. This pattern repeats across cultures and eras. It is not anomaly but fundamental characteristic. We did not account for this in our invasion planning. We assumed you would calculate odds, recognize futility, surrender when logical. Instead you hold. You always hold. Marcus felt exhaustion pulling at him. Are we still at war, Matriarch? The ceasefire holds. Negotiations proceed. The Queen has proposed what translates approximately as honorable withdrawal. We will vacate your colonial space. Pay reparations for damages. In exchange, we request non-aggression pact and cultural exchange. We wish to learn from you. Understand what drives humans to fight as you fight. And if we refuse? Velshera's mandibles clicked rapidly. Amusement, the protocol suggested. Then, we fight until extinction, yours or ours. But the Queen judges this outcome wasteful. We came seeking resources. We found instead a species that values individual life so highly they will sacrifice themselves for strangers. This is worth more than territory. This is knowledge that changes how we understand civilization itself. After Velshera left, Reeves remained. Silence stretched between them, filled with the medical pod's rhythmic sounds. They're calling you a hero, Marcus. Medal of Honor is being discussed. Maybe more. I'm not a hero. I was just there. You stood your ground when standing meant dying. When running might have saved you. That's the definition, soldier. Marcus looked at his bandaged hands, thinking about those cells behind him, the colonists he'd never met, the children he'd never seen. Someone had to. If not me, who? That's what makes it heroic, Marcus. You understood the necessity and accepted the cost. 3 months later, Marcus stood in the negotiation chamber on Neutral Station Concordia, his dress uniform crisp despite the discomfort of fresh scars beneath the fabric. The human delegation filled one side of the massive table. Across from them, Queen Shaktera dominated the Zathayar contingent, Velshera at her side. The treaty had taken weeks to hammer out. Territorial boundaries. Reparations. Prisoner exchanges. Technology sharing limitations. Every clause had been debated, revised, debated again. But now the documents lay ready for signature, two species stepping back from the brink through words rather than weapons. Admiral Zhao, leading the human delegation, spoke formally. Queen Shaktera, on behalf of the United Nations Space Command, we accept these terms. The Queen's mandibles spread in their approximation of acknowledgement. Admiral Zhao, we recognize humanity's sovereignty and acknowledge the harm we have caused. We seek peaceful coexistence. There's one more thing. Zhao continued, gesturing. An aide brought forward a small box. Captain Chen has something for you. Marcus stepped forward, forcing his legs steady despite the eyes upon him. He'd argued against this, but Zhao had insisted. Diplomacy required gestures. He opened the box, revealing his combat knife, the blade that had killed 6 Zathayar in that corridor, clean now but still bearing the scars of that fight. In human culture, Marcus said quietly, warriors sometimes exchange weapons as symbols of respect and peace. This blade defended my position. I offer it now to represent our commitment to defend peace rather than make war. The chamber went silent. Velshera's mandibles moved rapidly, whispering to the Queen. Shaktera rose, her full height impressive even in the large chamber, and approached Marcus directly. She studied the knife, then him. This blade took Zathayar lives. You offer it freely? Yes, Your Majesty. What was necessary in war should be remembered in peace. So we don't forget what we're choosing instead. The Queen took the knife delicately in her massive claws. In our culture, warriors keep their kill blades as honor markers. To surrender such a blade is profound sacrifice. She paused. But I understand now. You offer not surrender but transformation. The blade's purpose changes. From division to connection. She turned to her own guards. Rapid chittering. One stepped forward and offered a Zathar ceremonial weapon, a curved blade of alien metal, its edge gleaming. The queen took it and presented it to Marcus. This blade has defended my hive for 3 generations. I offer it in kind. May it remind your people that strength can protect rather than destroy. That honor recognizes honor, regardless of species. Marcus accepted the blade with both hands, bowing slightly. The weight was strange, the balance alien, but the symbolism transcended function. Around them, the delegations erupted in controlled applause, relief palpable. Velshera approached after the ceremony concluded, as dignitaries mingled. Captain Chen, the Queen has requested something unusual. Matriarch? She wishes to visit the corridor. The place where you stood. It has become significant to our people. A pilgrimage site for warriors seeking understanding. She wants to see it before we withdraw from that world. Marcus felt his chest tighten. I'm not sure that's wise. Perhaps not. But necessary. Will you accompany us? 2 weeks later, Marcus stood once more in that corridor. The blood was gone, the walls repaired, but he could still see it all. Where he'd fallen. Where they died. The exact spot where he'd been certain it was over. Maintenance crews had restored everything, but the ghosts remained visible to him alone. Queen Shaktara moved through the space slowly, her entourage maintaining respectful distance. She paused at spots Marcus hadn't indicated, seeming to sense the geography of violence through some alien instinct. Here, she said, touching the wall where Marcus had made his stand. You sat here. Bleeding. Unable to fight further. Yet you did not retreat. Nowhere to retreat to, Marcus said quietly. Yes. That is what my warriors do not fully grasp. For them, this was tactical calculation. Hold corridor, delay enemy. But for you it was absolute. The cells behind contained something you valued more than survival. This is the difference between my species and yours. We fight for the hive. You fight for individuals you have never met. Velshera added. We have reviewed human cultural records extensively. Your literature, films, histories. Always this theme repeats, individuals making impossible stands to protect others. From ancient myths to modern media. It saturates your civilization. Maybe because we're fragile, Marcus suggested. We don't have hive structures. We're all individuals, so we have to choose to protect each other. It's not instinct. It's decision. That makes it more profound, the Queen said. Instinct is programming. Choice is character. She turned to face him fully. My species conquers through strength and hierarchy. We overwhelm. But humans endure through choice and sacrifice. You persist. These are different foundations for civilization, Captain. Neither superior, both valid. This understanding changes everything. Will it hold? Marcus asked. The peace? If both sides choose it daily, as you chose to stand here. The Queen moved toward the cell-block doors. May I see them? The ones you protected? Marcus nodded to the guards. The doors opened. Beyond lay not cells anymore but a memorial garden, created by the survivors after their return. 300 names carved in black stone, representing not deaths but lives preserved. Colonists tended plants there, a permanent community having formed around this place. A child ran forward, a girl perhaps 8 years old, and stopped when she saw the massive alien queen. Fear flickered across her face. Her mother started to call her back, but the girl stood her ground. You're the queen, the child said. The one who made them stop. Shaktara lowered herself, bringing her head closer to the child's level. Yes, little one. I am Queen Shaktara. My mom says you saved us. She says Captain Chen held the door, But you chose to not break it down. She says that makes you a hero too. The Queen's mandibles moved in complex patterns. Your mother is wise. The captain showed me that heroism is not in victory but in what one chooses to protect. She paused. What is your name? Emma. Emma Santiago. Emma Santiago, I make you a promise. My people will not threaten yours again. We will learn to be neighbors instead of enemies. Do you believe me? The child considered this with the seriousness only children can manage. My mom says trust is hard but important. So I'm going to believe you, but I'll watch to make sure you keep your word. That is wisdom beyond your years, Emma. Watch closely. Hold me accountable. That is how peace survives, through vigilance and honest word-keeping. Later, as they prepared to depart, Velshera found Marcus alone at the memorial wall. The child spoke truth. The Queen became hero in that moment. She chose mercy over conquest. But she could only make that choice because you made yours first. Actions cascade, Captain? Your stand created possibility for peace. Or I just got lucky and didn't die before she arrived. Perhaps. But luck favors those who hold position against odds. You stood when standing was impossible. That impossibility became the foundation for new possibilities. She gestured at the memorial, the colonists tending gardens where cells had been, the child playing without fear despite aliens walking nearby. This is what your impossible stand created. Marcus looked at the names carved in stone, thinking about those 17 minutes that felt like hours, the pain and fear and desperate determination. I just didn't want them to die for nothing. They did not die. Because you would not move. That is the essence of your species, Captain Chin. You choose others over self. You hold ground others would surrender. You persist when persistence defies logic. Velshera's mandibles clicked. The Queen was right. This is worth more than conquest. This is something we can learn from. Something that enriches rather than dominates. As the Zathayar delegation departed, Reeves approached Marcus. What do you think? Will it last? Marcus watched the alien ship lift off, bearing away former enemies toward uncertain future. I think we made a choice in that corridor. All of us. To value something more than victory. Whether it lasts depends on whether we keep choosing it. That's not very reassuring, Captain. No. But it's honest. Peace is harder than war because it requires constant choice. War just requires reaction. But I'd rather choose difficult peace than easy violence. Those kids deserve that much. Reeves nodded slowly. Command wants you to join the diplomatic corps. Be a liaison with the Zathayar. Your presence has significant symbolic weight. I'm a soldier, not a diplomat. You're the soldier who taught aliens about honor. That makes you exactly the diplomat we need. Think about it. Marcus returned his attention to the memorial, to the names and the gardens and the children playing where terror had reigned. Emma Santiago waved at him before running off with friends, her fear of aliens already fading into normalcy. That was the goal, wasn't it? To make the impossible normal. To transform war into memory and memory into motivation for peace. I'll think about it, he said finally. But I'm keeping this. He touched the Zathayar blade at his side, complement to the human knife now in the Queen's possession. Two weapons exchanged, two species transformed from enemies into something new. Not friends necessarily, but partners in choosing something better than mutual destruction. The war was over. The peace was beginning. And Marcus Chin, who'd stood alone in a corridor against impossible odds, would stand again, this time not to defend with violence but to protect with vigilance, ensuring the choice made in blood wasn't wasted in the ease of forgetting. Some stands lasted minutes. Others lasted lifetimes. He was prepared for both.